I'm telling y'all right now, this one is a banger. What's up, everyone? It's America Plus. I'm your host, Cole McCormick. It's another week, another episode. What's going on? Everybody happy to be here. It's Sunday, January 26th, 10:13 in the a.m. What's up, people? What's up, my people?
What's going on, my boys?
It's a beautiful day to be alive, guys. I have a phenomenal episode for you today. It's a conversation, semi-conversation, semi-interview with a person, a co-founder of something that I think is really interesting. This woman, her name is Emily Hughes, and she made a Bitcoin board game, okay? And it's almost like Monopoly, but it's for Bitcoin, you know? Like, the whole goal of the game is to get as much Bitcoin as possible. And her and I, we go into it. We talk about like what inspired her, how she got it produced, who was she working with. It's her and this other guy that she met up with. She's like a digital nomad, so she travels around a lot. And then she met this guy with this idea, and she was like, I like that idea. We should do that together. So it's like just a really cool story. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Before I get into that, though, just give me like 90 more seconds. I want to get into the value for value section. I don't want there to be any interruptions for the conversation. So just so you know, America Plus is a value for value show. This entire operation is ran by listener donations through multiple ways: time, talent, and treasure. If you have any suggestions on who I should talk to, please send them my way. DM me. Talent. If you want to provide anything, if you want to give me some little like jingles, please do so. I'm looking for new jingles for the show. And if you want to just help out in any way, help me with the website, help me build my node. I need Bitcoin people to help me build my node. You can do that as well. And the last thing is treasure. That's through PayPal. America Plus has an official PayPal if you want to give some dollar roonies. And then I also prefer sats within the Fountain.fm app, y'all.
Go to value4value.info for more info, then download the Fountain.fm app. It's the best way to support the show.
Fountain's my favorite modern podcasting app right now. There's like a whole suite of others, but I just like Fountain because I think it's simple. And I'm going to be reading, I have one boostergram here from last week. This boostergram comes in from @Piez, my boy. What up, Piez? He sends in a wonderful 100 Satoshis. And he has to say, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
This has happened in the past.
Whoa, hang on. Wrong button.
Boost.
Boosting is loving.
Thank you so much, Piez. And then we got another one. It wasn't a boostergram, but this other gentleman named Satan Sats was streaming in some Satoshis, and he streamed in like 168. He even gave me more. He zapped me on Nostr. So thank you, Satan Sats, for that. Love you.
It's basically, you put Bitcoin with anything, and all of a sudden, that is more efficient.
Follow me on Nostr. I think this video is going to be up on Nostr, but the video is also up on YouTube as well. So I'm going to do my best to put this out everywhere, okay? But you're listening to the audio, so enjoy the audio. And yeah, stick around for the end of the show as well. I'll be playing a song like I usually do, and the artist will be getting 90% of that Satoshi donation. So yeah, with all that, folks, enjoy the conversation between me and Emily Hughes. We'll start hitting record, but yeah, no pressure here. We can just start casually, not casually. It's super cool to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah, so I listened to you on the Pleb Chain radio, and I just thought that was like a really cool conversation. I just started listening to that, and those guys are pretty cool. I like QW. Yeah. I like Avi. Those are fun guys. So yeah, just like what got you on that show? Like, how do they get into the Bitcoin board game? Like, how do they find you out?
I've been trying to promote it a little bit more. I've been trying to be more active, I guess, on just, you know, letting people know that the game is ready. Because we've been talking about it forever. It's like we've been working on it for such a long time that I think a lot of people forgot. And then it's real now. It's here. So yeah, I think they must have seen that and sent me a message. And yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, when I heard about it, it's just like a wild concept. Just the whole idea of like a Bitcoin board game. Like, it sounds silly, but it sounds so epic at the same time. I was like, is this even real? This has to be not real. And then it was real.
Yeah.
So I'm just into it. Like that's just like it's just very innovative. Like I just thought it was purely innovative.
As somebody
Are you
who
always attracted to that? Like are you like a Miss Innovation?
I wouldn't say that. No, I think the game was co-created with Arnold Hubach, and he had the concept for the game, as you probably know, from the conversation on Pleb Chain. But he had the concept already, and I think the reason that it got to the level that it got when we teamed up is because I'm not that like I'm not the technical Bitcoiner. I want to understand Bitcoin well enough so that I can trust it, but I'm not I'll never be like an expert or like a developer on the technology behind Bitcoin. So like to lay out the technology, obviously the technology itself is what's innovative. So like how do we just like convert that to like a board game so people like me, people who, are not dumb, but maybe more of a visual learner, a tactile learner. I want to like wrap my head around mining by reaching my hand into a bag and picking out numbers, and then increasing my hash rate by getting to pick up more numbers or less numbers, and like that kind of makes things like click.
Mm-hmm.
Just the innovation is the technology itself. It's just how do we make it easier for people to wrap their head around, because it is pretty abstract.
Yeah, I'm happy you said that because I'm like not a technical person either.
Love it.
So like I'm an emotional Bitcoiner. I'm not a technical Bitcoiner. I'm just in it for, just the vibes, the memes and the money, you know?
Yeah.
So it's and it's something that like technical people don't even talk about. Like they don't even talk about some people want to talk about the culture, some people want to talk about the monetary policy, but like what are like the fundamentals? It's like that's like the important thing to think about Bitcoin, and having something where you can like it's almost like it's as good as Monopoly, almost, this concept of a Bitcoin board game, because it's like you play Monopoly and you sort of have a good understanding of how capitalism works, how like buying and selling works, and like there's winners and there's losers, and it's like damn, it's like, and then you can like pretty cleanly, sort of cleanly apply that to real life.
Yeah.
And so it's I see this as like the Bitcoin monopoly
Funny that you
almost.
mentioned Monopoly, because like I think it says in the rule book, and also like if you run out of like if you lose your Monopoly money, you can buy more. And I think it says in the rule book like you can cut it out and print more of it.
Yeah.
Which you can't do in our game. We only have a set amount of these like little wooden Bitcoins, and if you lose them, we're never going to replace them for you. That's you know you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's we need something like a an analogy for Bitcoin.
yeah, just something real, right? I didn't know. I've never read the Monopoly game rules, so that's interesting. They incentivize inflation.
Don't
That's
quote me
great.
on that, but I know you can buy replacement money.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's all Monopoly money, right?
Yeah,
It's all fake.
exactly.
That's cool though. I should say thank you for coming on here. Thank you for being willing to come on and talk to me. This is really cool.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, just retell the story of like how you got into the Bitcoin board game. What inspired you to even like do something like this?
Yeah, so I was traveling, pretty much traveling 8 months of the year, working remotely as a graphic designer, and dealing with the annoyances of being paid in a different currency. I always had this like deep disdain for banks my whole life, but I never but like I didn't have any like that was kind of where that ended. And I was aware of Bitcoin, and I had a little Bitcoin on an exchange. I always had the intention of learning more about it. I knew there was something there, but I was distracted. So then I crossed paths with Arnold, and took his Skillshare, and kind of that like blew my mind open. And he's like, I have this game that I've been working on for at that point he had abandoned it, like I think 2 years prior, give or take. I can never remember the timeline, but he had abandoned it, and he's like, it's pretty much like I have the concept of the game, but like I don't know how to design it. I don't know how to go forward from here. And if you want to take it, like it's like there might be something there. If you want to take it, and you know, you can have it. And I was like, I was not confident at all that I could do that. Number one, and I was like, no, let's work on it together, because we vibed really well, and like we, to this day, he's probably my closest friend. So we decided to take it on together. We I think it was really kickstarted with the Geyser campaign. Um, we went to the Philippines. We were visiting Bitcoin Island in the Philippines, the circular Bitcoin economy there. And one of the guys, Bill, mentioned like, oh, you guys should do a Geyser campaign. And we did that, and we ended up getting a grant as well. So then when we had the little bit of money to like actually like do this, that's kind of when we took it seriously, and really really put our minds to it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I remember the thing that struck me most during the pleb chain talk was your journey to China and like getting to see like the manufacturing. What was that like? Is that like a normal process for people making board games? Like, what was going to China like?
I don't think it's a normal process. And honestly, I probably didn't have to do that, but I happened to be in Japan and wanting to go to the Bitcoin Seoul conference. And I'm like, I have these days, you know, I'm on the right side of the world for this. Let me go in person, and you know, because we had some things to sort out. I wanted to see it. I wanted to touch it. I had the prototype. I had feedback for them. Like, just because I was there, I was like, you know, let's do this. So it was. I honestly feel like after doing that, because yes, I'm a traveler. I travel a lot, but I always have Google Maps. You know, I always have Google Translate. China is probably the only country where you don't have that.
Interesting. You got to use some Chinese thing.
But yeah, like you can't use the internet there. You can't Google Translate there. So it was definitely like an advanced level of travel for sure. But I was yeah, I was just like on the train to the factory, which was about an hour or so outside of Shanghai, just kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm really here. I can't believe I'm really doing this. And then when I got to the factory, it ended up being um, like a woman owned, like a female owned business, and it was like all these like really badass like women working there. The woman like started the company 10 years ago, and they took me out to lunch, and they were, you know, telling me all about their lives, and like it was just a really cool experience. And everything we dealt with everything so efficiently, because I was there. Like what would have been emails back and forth for quite a while was just, you know, very clearly communicated within a couple hours there. And it was a very trippy, cool experience, and I would recommend it.
That's wild. You never hear about the female entrepreneur
I
in
know.
China.
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't expect it.
what?
Yeah. They were so sweet, so cool.
She had been doing that for like 10 years? Like, she had been making board games? Is that what she does?
Yeah, they only make board games, and like cards, and you know, card games.
Wow.
But yeah, that was her bread and butter, and she was very successful, and yeah, really really cool
That's
lady.
so cool.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh because like you don't hear anything about that. Like in America, if we're gonna make a board game, it's gonna be like some machine, or it's gonna be some like print, just printed, you know, or some. I that's just how I would imagine it. You never hear about like, oh, this woman has been doing this for a decade. That's so interesting.
Well, but just she toured me like throughout their whole factory. They like, of course there was like a big printing press and all of these things, but like they were all there, like they were all working for her. She had the system. It was a very well-oiled machine, you know. It was really cool to see.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, my mom, she has been running a business for a long time, so I'm sort of sympathetic to that. Like, I get that, I understand that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So China was cool. Like, would you go back?
I would. I think I saw so little of it. I like to travel slow if I can. And you know, I was only there for a few days, so just there for, you know, get in, get out, move on. But I realized when I was there, I was like, oof, I could really stay here longer, explore, see more, see more of the north as well. Like, I don't know. I was never that interested in visiting China until I went there. I went through the getting a visa for China has actually been annoying. That's the downside. But yeah, I'd go back in a heartbeat. Lots more to see.
Yeah, I just want to like find someone who knows like that Chinese witch magic.
Yeah, that'd be
Heal me from any future issue.
yes, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, you travel a lot, so you're like a digital nomad. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what do you even do?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that term. It's a bit silly, but it is what it is, I guess. I've also heard.
Seems derogatory.
Sorry.
It seems a bit offensive.
Yeah. I think there's people picture a certain person when they think of that. I've also heard the term. Oh, what is it? Locationally fluid.
That's even worse.
Way worse. And homeless by choice. That's for sure is one. But yeah,
That's more offensive.
yeah. I work remotely and I travel. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a person on a train.
Yeah.
That's really cool though. What like interested you in like just doing anything like that and just like traveling a lot, like working abroad or remotely? Like what even got you thinking about that?
This was for me and like a lot of people who do this. There's certainly people who were doing it before COVID, but COVID sparked this shift in a lot of people. And that's what it was for me. So I was living in Toronto. I was basically rent broke, working in-house at a company, 9 to 5, commuting for years. And then when COVID my work environment was very toxic. They had no respect for anybody's time. It was not my favorite place to work. And I left, and like literally a week later or something, the lockdowns happened. And I flew home to Newfoundland, where I am right now. And for what I was thinking would be about a month until COVID blew over and, things were back to normal, but a year passed, and I was flying back to like pick up my stuff, ship it all home, and start over. And when I started over, I realized like, okay, so I'm working for myself now. There's no need for me to be anywhere. Like I might as well travel the world if I'm working. Like I could be here at my desk, or I could be at a desk in Greece, which is where I went first. And I guess I'm kind of leaving out the whole year of like figuring this out. The psychedelics that helped me get here, the time to reflect.
Oh my God. Yes, please go into that. Was that wait, you were taking psychedelics during COVID?
Not really. I took yes and no. I did a macro dose of psychedelics during COVID.
Dope.
Yeah, and then I took another macro dose maybe less than a year later, like a little follow up. And
Was that your first time?
it was. Oh,
Wow.
yeah, kind of, yes. So to like back up a little bit, I was very mentally ill during my 20s. I was diagnosed as bipolar when I was 20, which is something very hereditary in my family. I was taking a lot of medications. The first time I ever took mushrooms, I was also on an antipsychotic, so like nothing happened. So that's why I say yes and no to that.
Right.
But I was very severely, I was not well, and I was smoking weed. I was taking all these different prescriptions, going to a lot of therapy. I was hospitalized at one point. I was inpatient for like almost a month. Like I was not well, and I was smoking weed daily, constantly, all the time. Just a bit of a mess. But I was always able to, I scraped by through school. I was always able to hold a job. I knew I wasn't thriving. I knew I wasn't reaching my full potential. I knew I wasn't happy. But like just because like, oh, you can hold a job, like we're not going to change anything about this protocol. Keep taking the things you're taking. Keep, you know, like you're if you're not suicidal, you're not a threat to others, and you can, like, you know, contribute to society, pay your taxes, you know, that's it. That's the best we can expect. Which,
So they were giving you nothing.
I mean, they're right with me. So so when I came home, I went to this. Well, I had this, like, I started to heal, and I had this intuition that I needed to try psychedelics, but I knew I couldn't take them when I was on lithium. Very dangerous. And I also know from years of being told this, and also from some personal experience, that bipolar people, when they find, you know, that equilibrium, have this tendency to say, well, I don't need my meds anymore. I'm going to come off them. And they come off of them, and then things go haywire again. I think there was, like, some, like, deeper message in me that was like, no, this is really different. Like, I was able to, like, I don't really have the language for it, but it was like a deeper knowing that what I was like, no, really, it's really time to come off of this. And so I tapered off of it in the most responsible way I think I could, and did the macro dose of psilocybin, and have not had any issues since. I haven't needed medication since, in all these years. I haven't had any bipolar episodes. You know, I still, you know, feel the ebbs and flows of life, but it's within the regular, you know, human experience, I think. Maybe sometimes I feel things more deeply, but it's never, it's not disruptive to my life anymore. I don't really identify as having bipolar disorder anymore. And that's largely because I'm not saying, like, you know, go take a bunch of mushrooms and you'll be cured of your bipolar disorder. There was a lot of, like, years of, like, you know, rewiring my neural pathways before all of this, and so many things. And it's an individual journey for everyone. But I do, I am truly not somebody who identifies as having bipolar disorder anymore.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. So that was like 2020 when you had, like, the transformative experience.
Yeah, I think so. 2020, 2021.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that, and it's like I relate to you in, like, two different eras in my life, because, like, I was going through a similar thing. My first mushroom experience was in 2017, and then, like, now I'm also, like, relating to you in, like, this current era, because, like, I'm working at a restaurant. I'm like, oh yeah, they don't respect anyone's time. These people suck. These people don't care, even though, like, they're nice people. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like it's a corporate thing.
Yeah.
And I remember, so if I could share my story, like in 2017, I was like 2 years out of high school, but I was, like, depressed, and I was just, like, not knowing where my life was. And I had gone through, like, a falling out with, like a multiple friend groups, like, not just, like, graduating high school and, like, you know, just like gradually losing touch with those people. But I grew up in church, and I lost all my contacts in church, and there was, like, a whole thing, and, like, pretty much, like, everything I grew up with was, like, not there anymore. And I was delivering pizza, and you know, if you ever work in a kitchen, maybe that's why I'm in a kitchen now. The drug culture is thriving in all kitchens. And so a buddy of mine, he had mushrooms, he grew mushrooms, or he knew someone that had them, and I was like, hey man, I really want to do them, dude. Like, it sounds really cool. And I started listening to Joe Rogan, and, like, you know, it was like, this is like the era when, like, Joe Rogan couldn't shut up about mushrooms and
Yeah.
psychedelics. And that was also when I first started listening to podcasts in general as well. I was like, maybe I should do this. Maybe I can do that. And I just remember, just, you know, my first time I saw, like, a grid of lights. That was, like, what happened to me. Like, I was in my backyard. I did them alone. I'm not sure what your experience was, but
Same.
I've always, and people always think that's weird, right? If you tell that story,
They do.
like,
I feel safest that way.
yes,
Yeah.
I feel very safe if I'm, like, with some. And now I've been, like, around a sober person, but I've never, like, been, like, two people on mushrooms at the same time. That sounds really like, I don't know how I could handle that, like, emotionally.
I think it would have to be a smaller dose. I have,
Yeah, it'd have to be a
but
microdose.
smaller doses.
Yeah, very small. They're under 1 gram, maybe 2 grams. But yeah, but I feel the same way about just like the whole life change, because after that happened, it was like, I remember it was in May 2017. I had like gained weight, right? And then I was like, along with like seeing like this like vision of like of the grid of lights, I had this vision of like a gardening ladle, like a gardening, I'm not even sure what to call it. Just like that classic spout, gardening spout. And I saw water pouring over like parts of my body, like intestines and like heart, and like just like the inside of me was like being watered. And this message of water your body, feed your body, grow your body. That was like a big thing in that moment. And then I had this like spark, and it was like from that day on, I was like, we're going hard keto. We're swimming every day. We're doing this. And I lost like a ton of weight within like 6 months. And then I moved out to LA in that same year. So I feel that like transformative thing that you went through. I really think that's cool. I think that's really powerful. And I also, wait, so do you still smoke weed, or have you stopped?
I've stopped. Yeah, I'm not a. You said same?
Yeah, I used to smoke every single day, like it's beginning in like 2016, and it's only in this last year when I had the instinct. I'm like, I need to not do this.
Weed is such an interesting one because I know it helps people, and I don't believe it should be illegal, obviously. However, the vast majority of people, like I could be wrong, but it is from my experience that like the vast majority of people who are smoking weed every day are not operating at their highest potential.
Yeah, they're not healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is what it is. And for me, I don't know if you had any trouble quitting, but I tried to quit for years before I could actually succeed. Like I was truly addicted. They say weed is not addictive. That is simply not true. It's
Hmm.
you anything that you take into your body, you're experiencing some discomfort. You do something, it changes your brain chemistry to make you feel better. You're going to be
Hmm.
it's addictive, like no matter what it is. So yeah, that it was really really hard to quit. And it
When was that? Like what year?
when did I successfully quit? It was actually kind of because I had to come home for the I was living
Mm.
on my own. Like a lot harder to quit when you're living on your own, like with a dispensary down the street, and then during COVID they'll like deliver to your door.
Oh
Um,
my God, yeah.
so when I moved back with my parents, um, for that like 1 month, that was I took that as like a fresh start to be like, okay.
Hmm. That's really cool. Yeah, I during COVID, in like 2021, I started. So first of all, I was unemployed for like a year and a half during COVID, and then I got a job at a dispensary out here in LA. And so that was like, in that era, I was like weed is going to help everyone. I don't care if you have COVID, like you can still smoke even though you're sick, like regardless of any opinion on COVID, like
Yeah.
it's okay, you can still do it. And I was like super gun ho on like this can help people, or like it's one of the ways that people can get help. And it was a cool experience working there because I was at a bigger shop, so they had a really large selection, like a lot of different products, not just flour, not just the normal vapes and stuff. So people were coming in. I was with like a good amount of like older people. It's in the shop is in like a more like affluent area as well. So you would have people from all different ranges, like people coming in from work, and people just like retired rich old people are coming in for like pain and trying to figure out how to manage their muscle pain and stuff. So I would recommend a cream. I would recommend there was like bath salts with THC, or the flower or the vape, And so like it was a good mix of like selling different things to different people. But during that, I definitely saw how like you're seeing the same people come in every day or every 2 days, and it's like like I get that you need more, but it's just a routine now. Like for me seeing them, it was like, you're really just like, this is just another drug.
Yeah.
And then every day it's so like throughout a day, you might meet like, 20 people to like 20 guests. And like, you're going to have like 15 conversations of drugs suck or something like that. Like, like this drug is bad. These pills are no good. Here's your drugs. Like, it's just weird how we like put a pedestal on some drugs and different drugs. And then, and psychedelics are so interesting because there's not that feeling of needing to go back to it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've like had that instinct at all, or when the last time you did mushrooms, or was it mushrooms or what was it?
So the big life-changing thing was mushrooms. But then I've also done ayahuasca and BUFO, and
Really?
since then, yeah. And the most profound one for sure has been, aside from that very first mushroom trip, which was very important for me, nothing ever compares to the BUFO that I did.
Tell me about the BUFO. I've never heard of that.
BUFO is like, it's like frog venom. It's
Okay. You didn't lick a frog, but you had the venom.
you smoke it. And it this was actually at Nostr, you know, the Nostr conference.
Let's
In Costa
go again.
I did it there. So I paid with Bitcoin, which was very cool. Yeah. I don't even want to think how much I paid in hindsight. Worth every penny, honestly, because it was, but I digress. So you smoke it, and it's supposed to be, it's DMT, and it's very short lasting. Like it's supposed to last maximum 30 minutes, could be as short as 5, but 10 times stronger than ayahuasca, they say. So I'm like, I really wanted to try it. And it's kind of weird because the day before my grandmother died, and I couldn't go to the funeral because I was in Costa Rica, and I just couldn't. Nobody was gonna pay for my flight, and it was what it was. And I'm thinking, like, set and setting are very important. Maybe you shouldn't, if you've lost but I did it anyway, and I learned a very, like, it's one of those things that's like hard to put into words, but I'm going to try.
Okay, no, take your time, do whatever. Yeah, please. Because I think I got a story as well. I got a death story as well.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I can't. Yeah, death is a whole other topic of a psychedelic experience, it seems. So I'm in this ceremony, and I'm like, kind of second guess. I'm like, should I be doing this at all? And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. So the first time I do it, I get this fear, because I have this, like, we all have this internal narrative, and mine is very strong. Overthinker, maybe it's the ego, whatever it is. It's very present, and my first thought is like, I'm gonna pee myself. And so I looked at the guy, and I was like, I'm gonna pee myself. And he's like, that's okay. And I'm like, well. And then I think I'm starting to feel nauseous. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna throw up. And he's like, that's okay. And I'm like, where should I throw up? And he's like, I'll get you a bucket. But I wasn't gonna throw up, nor was I going to pee myself. Neither of those things happened. I was just like looking for things, like my body, I focused on these things instead of just surrendering to it, which is what he was trying to say by, like, it doesn't matter, like, pee yourself if you're gonna pee yourself, like, who cares? Anyway, I didn't throw up, I didn't pee myself, but that took me out of it, and it didn't work. I had no psychedelic experience. So the whole ceremony happens. They're doing a few people at a time. So I was, I had to wait like a full 2 more hours till the end of the ceremony for everybody to have their turn. And people are having all these crazy experiences, and they're screaming and like all these things. And I'm just like, man, it didn't work for me. And at the very end of the ceremony, the guy came back and he was like, hey, I know it didn't work for you. Do you want to try again? I was like, yes. And everybody else had cleaned up, like everything was gone. He brought me outside with like an old dirty yoga mat. Like it was over. Everyone was leaving. And we did it again. And this time, like without the pressure and with the 2 hours of like, like thinking about this, I was able to surrender. And that like ability to surrender is like, even though that's not part of the experience itself, was probably as important as the experience itself, because it was the first time in my life I had ever truly surrendered. So first it was like, oh, I'm going to pee myself, who cares? And I didn't. But then I also had this like flash of like fear where it was like, I'm going to die. First it was like, I can't see anything. I'm blind. And then I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. And then I had this flash of like pure like dread, like I'm going to die. Like my parents are going to get like a notice that their daughter died in Costa Rica doing like BUFO. And then like as quickly as that came, I was like, it doesn't matter. But like truly, it like really didn't matter. And then like nothing that I think about that occupies my mind matters. So that way, I'm not even like explaining it as like as like a deeper knowing, because like that doesn't matter, like intellectually you know that, but like deep down, and like my own death didn't matter. I was just ready to die at that point. And then it was really, really short, but like all of my ancestors somehow, who I don't even know what they look like. So I think I don't know what I'm picturing here when I say this, but like all of these like people that were part of my lineage somehow were there. Like people like my maternal grandfather who I've never met, or like an aunt that I've never met, and I've never seen them in real life, but like they were all there. Like it was just, it was unlike, I was like, this is a really part of like a really important part of the human experience, and everybody should be able to experience this. And I felt so grateful and like clear, and like years of tension melted off my body. To this day, I've never felt so like calm and relaxed. And it just like allowed a lot of the bullshit to like melt away. And then from then on, for a long period of time, I was very focused. I was like, okay, this is kind of where I developed like the first like inklings of like, maybe I only want to work in Bitcoin. Maybe I only want to contribute in ways that are like actually important to me. And like what I truly believe is like contributing to the world. It took me some time to get there, of course. You can't just go there. But yeah, sorry, that was a long story.
I'm listening to every word. I think that's so interesting. It's cool that you had you connected to some aspects of your past. Like you're like listening to, it must be surreal to like know that there's like people who are related to you in a different realm.
Yeah.
And like looking at you and like loving you and
Yeah.
caring for you. Like that's like intense.
Yeah. It's like if time isn't I saw something the other day. It was like your grandmother's prayers are still working for you.
Whoa.
Like,
Yeah.
if time isn't, the way we experience it, if that's not the way it really is, then yeah, your grandmother's prayers are still working for you. Like it's kind of crazy.
It's like they're still being spoken. It's like there's like the prayers are like it's an infinite echo.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I hear that. Well, there's that thing about I don't even have like details on it, but there's that thing where they say like old radio broadcasts and like old TV broadcasts, like those radio waves are still like going out into the universe. You know what I mean? Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Like there's like
No.
yeah, there's like this thing where it's like the radio waves don't stop moving. And so like whatever is being like you could hypothetically if you're in space, you could tune in to some channel from like the 50s.
Oh, cool.
If you have that ability, because it's still there. I think that's how that I think that's accurate. Maybe I just made it up, but I think it's aligned.
I don't know how these things work, but it's really cool to think about. If you think about time for too long, you just boggles the brain a little bit.
Yeah. Time is interesting. Time is like it's everything and then it's nothing at the same time.
Yeah. I do. I
Yeah.
like the theory that Bitcoin is sent to us from the future. It's like a technology sent from the future to save humanity.
Yeah, I love that.
Me too.
I think that's a good idea. I'll also
It's fun.
there should be a movie about that.
Yeah.
Back to Bitcoin.
Yeah. Exactly.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
So that helped. So that experience helped you work through that grief. Is that sort of what all that led to from your grandma?
I wouldn't like. It helped me. I didn't even have a chance to. Let me rephrase. Like, I think all of the psychedelic experiences I've had have helped me process my emotions, because I don't do that as quickly or naturally, I think, as maybe most people.
Mm-hmm.
That very first mushroom trip that I spoke about earlier, I talk about it as if it was like this like really crazy, profound experience. What it was in reality was I was crying for 4 or 5, 6, however long it was, just like weeping the entire time
Mm-hmm.
until my body ached, like my muscles like ached,
Mm-hmm.
of just like just like crying, um, and like grieving this whole life that I built, but like somehow making space for something new. Um, so yeah, I think all of the psychedelics experiences that I've had, at least for me, had have been a way to process emotions that haven't quite figured out how to do that
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they help you more than when you're sober. Like you still have like a hard time moving through that
Yeah,
or
I
moving
do.
through emotions.
Yeah.
Now, I think that makes sense because like that's just the journey.
Yeah.
Like I've been reading some stuff about like how life on Earth is just like it's like emotional lessons for your soul to learn,
Yeah.
and so it's like whatever issue you're having, that's just a part of it.
Yeah.
So I think I I don't think you're lost, and I don't think you're like doing anything wrong. It sounds like you're just like on that on that uh on that path.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the last time I did mushrooms was and I've only done mushrooms. I haven't done anything else. I've had friends who offered me LSD. I'm like, I don't know if I can do 12 hours.
Mhm.
I'm a 5-hour guy.
Yeah, I feel that.
The last time I did them was I think it was like August 2023. My dad got diagnosed with cancer, and so that was like a way for me to just like prepare myself for what turned out to be the inevitable. He passed away like last August, like almost 6 months ago now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So no, it's all good now. I mean, it's sort of good. Like, but I've been what I was gonna say is like that mushroom experience, like literally, like might have been more impactful than the first experience. Even though the first experience I had was so like I felt so hopeful after the first experience, and then in this I guess like the last experience, I was able to like find some sort of peace and understanding of something that I didn't want to happen, but I was able to like come to terms. I'm like, because the message that came to me during that last experience was, "This is my dad's path," and then I saw I'm literally on like a sidewalk, like in like a park, and then I see my dad. Like he's like he's a few yards away from me. He's literally on his own sidewalk. I'm like, he's just walking. He's just walking down his path. And so like that was like a huge thing for me, and just going through the whole process of the cancer, and just seeing how he dealt with it. He dealt with it like a freaking boss, and like most of the last year, like it was pretty normal until like the last 2 months, 3 months. It was pretty business as usual. Him and my mom were still running the company. He was still able to walk. He was still doing. We were doing things. We are going to Legoland. We're going to amusement parks, and so it's like, things were normal to a degree, and then I was able to just continue.
Oh, lost you for a sec.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I get it. My stories are boring. It's okay. um, the I was able to just remember that message of like he's walking on his own path, and like even though it's like a sad moment, like it's able to the psychedelics have helped me come to terms with like this is how it should be.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people, when they experience anything negative in their life, a lot of people want to say like this should have never happened, and it's like I always like am empathetic to that, but like no one is in control of that, you know, no one's in control of like what should happen.
Yeah.
Because what should happen is you should always be healthy, and what should happen is you don't get hit by a car. What should happen is like there's so many things that should be happening, but you're just not in control of that. And so the psychedelics have helped me just accept what is in front of me, just accept what the truth is, and to find some path of gratitude, find some way to find some peace. You know, I think that's been like the biggest thing. And you know, people, I think the conversations around psychedelics are a bit like they're still unhelpful, even though so many people have benefited from them. They're still, because when you listen to any podcast, it's always going to be some doctor who's focusing on them, and they can't really talk about the incredible experiences. All they can talk about is the official research that whatever they're involved in. And then people need to, like, all you have is just like whatever that person's research is or whatever that person's field of work is. And it's like, and then people want to be like, like they bring up all these statistics about like how psychedelics help, but it's like, that's not like, there's something is not working. And I'm not sure if the key is to make psychedelics legal and to just like have that go full fledged, but I'm in this weird thing where like I really support psychedelics, but because of my experience with weed and seeing how people just treated these other, I think weed is sort of a psychedelic. Um, Seeing how people treated these other drugs, like I'm just like, I don't know. I sort of just want mushrooms to be special, you know? Maybe I'm being a little selfish with that, but
I don't think so. I don't think that's selfish at all. I think you want. I think they should be used in a way that is contributing to like the spiritual sort of development of the person taking them, and not as like, not that there's anything wrong with like socially you know, enjoying them. It's just, yeah, they serve a very specific purpose with when taken with intention. Like you're saying, like I was just thinking about when you're telling me about that story with your dad, like there's such like big ideas that we need to like throughout our lives that we need to like grapple with, or like big emotions to move through, or big situations that we need to accept or surrender to. And they're just like psychedelics or psilocybin in particular can be such a helpful tool to do that. It's kind of a, you wonder if it was just to be made like, you know, legal and acceptable, if everybody would be getting that benefit.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm not sure like how many people are intentional about crying about
Right.
about these things. Because that's really, I'm not sure if it's just like my personality or like my EQ or like, but like I knew I was like, I need to do mushrooms so I can just cry about this.
Yeah.
Because like similar to you, like when I'm sober, it's like I can sort of process emotions, but I do have like an inclination of like I don't know, maybe it's like solving the problem or like being logical about something.
100%.
And it's like I can identify the sadness, but then I don't know, it's like I can't feel that sadness. I'm like, I need to just feel this. I need to just feel this. And like, and that just helped me going through the whole process, because then when the moment happened, I wasn't afraid to be sad. You know, like I wasn't like, I'm like, you know, sadness is sadness, but I wasn't like devastated and like embarrassed to feel this way, or like I wasn't hopeless,
Yeah.
I guess. I think that's really what it's been. And maybe that's also tied to my spiritual life. You know, my family everyone in my family is Christian, so there is that side of like just the Christian lore of heaven and so I begin in like a positive place of like when you're dead, you're not really dead, and then now in my life, I am sort of still aligned with that, but from a different perspective, and having just working through that, just exploring the spirit realm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that as Bitcoiners, I don't know. We were saying how we weren't, technical Bitcoiners.
Mhm.
There's a really there's a lot of interesting conversations to be had around Bitcoin and spirituality, and I think that's
Yes.
where the psychedelic people kind of overlap as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that yesterday. Actually, it's funny you bring that up. I was like, there's something about decentralization and spirituality, something about that, because like the stuff I've been absorbing when it comes to like souls and stuff, I've been reading about souls, and it's not even like a bit like a specific like religion or like philosophy. It's like literally like information about souls. Um, you have like every soul has free will,
Hmm.
but every soul is like like directly of source, directly of God. Um, and even though like you're always connected to that, you still have free will. Every soul has free will.
Right.
And I've always thought that was very interesting because like when you think of Bitcoin, it's like everyone is working within their own self-interest.
Yeah.
But they're working within the same rules
Yeah.
and they're connected to the same network. And there's like an audit going on all the time. And that's almost like spiritually, me personally, I'm always like trying to audit myself. I'm trying to audit my ego. I'm trying to align myself with God and align my personality with my soul. There's like I think that's like there might be a connection between like the 10-minute audit in Bitcoin and meditating daily.
Mhm.
There might be a connection there. I was just thinking about that, of how like, you have the intention of making sure everything is right and if something is not right, then you kick it out. If something is aligned with these like set of rules, then like then keep going. It's a part of it, and if it's not fitting, then it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not sure.
Fascinating.
That's the first time I've ever said that. So maybe I'm totally wrong.
No, this makes a lot of sense to me, and it also, not to plug the game again, because but it
Plug it.
did
Plug it.
make me think of Block Hunters, because you're ultimately trying to win the game. So you're looking out for your own self-interest. However, you're working together with everybody else in order to do that, because you have to build the blockchain together, and then you're also all verifying as you go through. Another thing it makes me think of is like the individual versus the collective. I think well, Bitcoin is better for humanity as a collective, but it also transforms you on like the individual level.
Mhm.
Also the same for psychedelics as well. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know where I lost my train of thought, but yeah, the individual acting in individual interest, like self-interest, uh,
Mhm.
and also without losing touch with like I'm part of a larger collective. Um,
Mhm.
like you can't ignore the fact, especially if you've taken some of these substances, you can't ignore the fact that we are all connected. It's like the number one thing people experience on these substances is this like profound feeling of connection. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah.
Yeah. I think we're breaking boundaries. I think we're, I think we're starting a whole new course in college. I think people are going to be studying the intersection of Bitcoin and spirituality.
Hell yeah.
Um, that's really cool.
Mhm.
Um, I don't even know where to go from that. I just think that we should just stay on that. Like, did you grow up religious? Like, were you ever afraid of psychedelics because of any past faith?
uh no, I grew up like we went to church on Sundays until, we were teenagers.
Until they shut it down.
I mean, not even like my sisters had like, you know, tournaments and stuff. We just kind of, but we never really talked about it. Like about
Right.
like I don't know. We only said we only said grace when we were like visiting family members. You know, we did it in our house. And I got really into like esoterics, or I think it was lacking in my life, but I never like I got really into like tarot cards and stuff like that in my 20s, like other outlets, and then kind of full circle found my way back to, and I wouldn't even say like Christianity per se, but something. But I wasn't scared of psychedelics from that perspective. I was scared from the perspective of like, is this going to make me mentally ill again? Is this going to send me like, is it, it's not safe to feel sadness because I could go into a months-long depression. It's not safe to feel like super happy because like, am I actually like hypomanic and embarrassing myself and doing things I shouldn't be doing and annoying people and acting, you know, taking risks I shouldn't take, blah, 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 blah. It was more kind of like, I don't trust myself. And that's kind of where my fear was. You said you grew up religious though. Did you have, how does that come into play?
Yeah, I mean, I think well, there's like the religious side, and then like I think that there's always like a like inner family culture. So so I grew up in like the church I went to, I guess you could call it Protestant slash non-denominational. It's sort of just like a modern church. Like they wanted to have a good stage presence, and they wanted, I remember the pastor saying, we want this place to feel like Disney. And so like there was a very like forward projecting, this is a happy place to be at. But we still have these like really like firm Bible beliefs. And so the culture in church was like, you know, drugs are no good, all this stuff. But then the culture of my family, it just wasn't really discussed a lot.
Right.
And so I was never really brought up to be afraid of that, even though like they didn't like it. I remember like when I first started smoking weed, I was like, I had like a little like sack, I had like a little bag, and I would always it got to a point where like my parents always realized I was bringing this bag when I saw my friend Taylor. Bag. Why do you always see Taylor with that bag? I'm like, there's no in it. And then like one night, my mom's like, "Is that marijuana?" And so it's like there was like, it was never discussed, but it was always like, "What are you doing? Like, you know, you're not supposed to do that." And they didn't even know how to like take in like, "Hey, I did mushrooms." Like they didn't even know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Because you know, they grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and you know, they got all these fear situations. And even like my grandparents, you know, they grew up with an even different perspective. They were, my grandparents are like, you know, like that's like the foundation of like my family, right? They grew up in like I guess you could call it the Jesus revolution in like the 60s, I think. So alongside the psychedelics in the 60s in America, there was like this Jesus side.
Gotcha.
And my grandparents grew up on the Jesus side, and they were in a traveling theater group in college. And my grandma has a story of like one time some girl on the bus took mushrooms and she went crazy or something.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's just this very random story.
Right.
That's like,
They thought
it's
they
like,
could fly and they jumped off a building.
yeah, it's like, well, what about set and setting? What about what it was?
Yeah.
What about knowing the source? Like, what about trusting the person who you buy it from? Like,
Right.
you know, there's this whole other context that goes into buying these drugs illegally. And so I just had a different mindset on that. And luckily, my family were all individuals. That was always encouraged. Like, you can do it. Like, you like just do your best. Like, whatever you want to do, you can do it. And so and they always like, there was never any like, you need to go this path or you need to be this certain way. They allowed us to just be us. And so growing up in that culture, I just wasn't afraid of doing mushrooms. I was just curious.
Right.
There's this overall curiosity. And as soon as I did that, even though I was already sort of going through issues with church and trying to figure out that faith, I never had a problem with God. It was always just a problem with church
Right.
and the structure. And I was like angry. Like I had like anger at the structure. And I was seeing like fallacies. I was seeing like just issues with the narratives.
Yeah.
And I was like, these things are not lining up. Like whatever we're feeling is not what you're talking about. And then when I did mushrooms, it was like, this feels more aligned with faith. Like how I feel on mushrooms feels more about how Jesus talked about being aligned with God or having God within you. Like it just seems more real than anything I've ever experienced. And so growing up, I felt out of place, but then like I felt out of place in church. Like it seemed like I wasn't like having this like godly experience. I wasn't able to connect. And then it's only been after mushrooms is when I've been finally like integrating and like figuring out like how can I connect to God. And that took me on this path of like meditation. I've only been meditating for like a year, but that's just like a part of the journey of like learning how to connect, learning how to treat people, and that's totally different than how Christians talk about faith and living, because everything is directed towards the symbol and the image and the person of Jesus. And it's like, but there's like a different thing. Like, I'm just in this different era in my life where there's a different understanding when it comes to these stories, when it comes to any message about Buddha, any message from Jesus, any message from anything. I think right now, I think every religion sort of has like bits and pieces of the puzzle. And like, I got to figure out like what that complete picture is. That's like my responsibility to
Yeah.
figure that out. And so that's been like an interesting journey of like figuring out how do I think about that, and then discussing that with my family. Some people in my family are more willing to listen than others. So yeah, I forgot where I was going to go with that, but your question was like, what was your question? You're interviewing me now.
I don't remember, but I was really interested to hear in how God and your psychedelic journey kind of
Molded.
if
Yeah.
they did or melded together. Yeah, because it's so true what you said about when you're on psychedelics, you feel that connection way more than you ever could in church or something like that. Something that um, that so for a long time I was kind of rejecting the like using the word God because it has so much connotations, and I'm big on like, oh, the universe this, or like the universe wants this, or like this is a sign from the universe, like blah 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 blah. And it just clicked for me one day where like you should use the word, because like all we're trying to do throughout conversations like these, when we're taking psychedelics, when we're thinking about these things, is to get closer to like the truth. Like that's, I think, is the goal. And I realized like I should just use whatever word carries the most power, no matter how it makes me feel. Cause like I used to hear like God and I'd be like, like cringy, almost like wasn't it. But like the more I've reflected on it, the more I have like been open-minded, and the psychedelics that I've taken, and I just, it clicked one day, and I'm like, actually, the most powerful word that works that I have is God. So yeah, for whatever that's worth. Um,
I say God. I like God.
yeah.
God is good.
Yeah, I've this is kind of where I've settled right now as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, God is it.
really cool.
Thank
That's
God
really cool.
Bitcoin is my favorite book. I just I think I'm on like my fourth or fifth copy because I keep giving it to people. I keep giving it away.
What's the book?
Thank God for Bitcoin.
I've never heard of that.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna love it so much.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah,
Is there an audio book? I always do audiobooks.
probably, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll check that out.
you'll love it.
What,
It's my favorite Bitcoin
what
book.
what's the premise? Like what's in there?
So it's written by a number of people. I think the first author though is Jimmy Song. And it's Bitcoin through like a I guess it's technically through the lens of the Bible. It'll have some Bible verses in it, but I give it to people and I say like people who aren't religious at all. I say skip the Bible verses, like just read this book because it lays out Bitcoin and also just money in general completely through like the spiritual lens, and it's so good. It's very easy read too. Short.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So the other side of this is like that I've identified. I'm not sure if this is even accurate, but I've also sort of been weary of my one little weary side of Bitcoin is what if there is like this like worshiping of money. So, and I don't know, it's not like I'm trying to like call out people or anything like that, but there is a side of the culture in Bitcoin of it does seem like we're worshiping Bitcoin. It seems like this is the way, this is the truth. Bitcoin is life. And so I've been dealing with that sort of idea as well and trying to figure out just like that concept. Like how do you align yourself with what you think is the better system and you still not worship money? Because like I do believe that like, money is like the root of most evil. I think maybe all evil. Even though, but we're all living in our own self-interest and this is like the better system. Have you ever thought about that?
You're gonna love for Bitcoin again,
Okay.
because fiat money is the root of all evil. Probably, yeah. But yeah, I think people at least start to when you go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, I can see how you would start to worship Bitcoin. Like the system is the answer and Bitcoin fixes everything. But I think that this the monetary revolution that will happen or is happening with Bitcoin needs to be accompanied by a spiritual one. And I think when you go deeper into it and you peacefully opt out of the system we're in now and embrace Bitcoin, it frees you to um, find the truth, whatever that is. So maybe at the beginning, people think like, Bitcoin is the truth. But really Bitcoin is just a means of getting to the truth. Like, when everyone gets into Bitcoin, your time preference is lowered. And that's kind of spiritual in itself, Or
Mm-hmm.
another thing that's really common when people get into Bitcoin is for me this happened is like you suddenly are thinking about, I definitely want to bring children into the world, like I want to have kids, or or like you just in general feel like there's actually hope for the future. These are
Mm-hmm.
these are spiritual things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think
I mean, having kids is not it's not simply physical. It's not simply
no, yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's like super spiritual. My sister had a kid in 2018 and it's like regardless of any stress, of any physical stress, it's like that's like a spiritual experience,
Yeah.
and that's like changed her life. So
And
I totally feel that.
how many people do you know I'm assuming we're give or take the same age relatively, like around like peers that are like the so-called like dinks, right, or double income, no kids, or like a lot of people
Mm,
just not interested in having kids, and even like the younger generation get really cynical about it,
mm,
and like, oh, I'm not bringing any children into this world because of climate change, and like
crazy.
it's and also realistically just like how expensive it is to like
Mhm.
have kids. Like there are really reasons why people are choosing not to, and I think it's like really sad and really scary because there is something, we are rebuilding the system, and it's coming from the bottom up, and I hope that we see it realize, like we see the Bitcoin revolution in our lifetime, but that I hate for it to be like too late for these people.
Mm.
Once they realize this, like we're so lucky to be in Bitcoin so early, but like, um, yeah, that like hope that is there, that when you go into the Bitcoin rabbit hole, like, you know what I mean? There's just
Yeah.
this lack of hope that exists outside of this. Like, I feel this like need to like scream from the rooftops, like, guys, Bitcoin is the answer.
There is hope. Yeah, there is hope. There's reason to like not think the world is ending.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
there's reason to think the world is like rebirthing or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not just crumbling, it's also transforming. Because things are crumbling, like things like systems are collapsing, but I don't think that's like the end story. I think things are just renewing, or they're in the process of being renewed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to your question about how many people I know who don't want kids,
Yeah.
I'm in like two worlds because so I'm 27. I was born in 1997. I grew up in Arizona, and so that's like that. My hometown in Arizona, like many people I know have kids. A lot of families, single moms, whatever. But like everyone's like, my Instagram is like over 50% kids and moms and families. And it's all people that I grew up with. And then out here in Los Angeles, it's like, I'm not sure if it's very ideological about the kids, but it's just like not a lot of kids,
Yeah.
not a lot of marriages. And if someone does get married, they usually move away.
Right.
So I'm not sure if that's because of LA or I'm not sure.
Yeah. Or if it's
But
that like cost of living related, or is that, yeah,
yeah,
ideology related?
it might be related to that as well. Just very expensive.
Mhm.
The people I know who marry, they move back to their home area, or it's just cheaper. Anything's cheaper than LA.
Yeah. And being around family too, I suppose. Change your values
Yeah, and
a little bit.
family's like the huge thing.
Yeah.
So that's like family's number one. And so I do know some people who don't want kids because of these narratives about the world, but I don't think it's relevant. Like that's just their own journey. That's their own spiritual journey. Because like I just got to focus on myself. That's also where I'm at spiritually. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince you. Like there's this thing about like, are you a tugboat or a lighthouse?
Yes. Yes.
And it's like I was thinking about that the last week or so, and it's like I don't want to like I just don't want to be negative because sort of like when you try to drag people into what you're doing, that can be negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
They don't
there
appreciate
can
it either. They're not listening.
yeah, exactly. And there's like resentment and there's like negativity and there's like resentment from you. Like if you think you have the positive thing, but these people around you aren't doing it, then you develop some negative emotion and that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And so what needs to happen is just be the best example of like whatever you want to do, be the best example of that. Be hyper successful in Bitcoin. Go for it. Be the best version of yourself. And to believe in yourself and to just be an example of these positive attributes that you say you believe in.
Yeah.
And then people will see you. People will somehow seek you out. Maybe some people need advice. And so I think it's one of those things of like being a lighthouse that people can just see and just observe. And then if they want to go towards you or go towards something similar that you are sharing, then that will happen naturally. And I think that's just what like every like peaceful, peaceful spiritual master has done
Yeah.
as well. Like Buddha didn't force anyone to follow him. Jesus didn't force anyone to follow him. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's also interesting when I think about these stories of like back in the day, like past, like old religion. It's interesting to just think about like people walking together, like to just think about like people just walk together and like following someone really meant like you're walking with them, like physically walking, and you can literally just walk away. And the digital version of that is just like unfollowing someone.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's true.
And like I don't know, just something similar. There's like some weird parallel going on of like we're going into like different realities, right? That's been like another thing. Like our realities are splitting, and some people are in one, and some people are in the other. And I like to think I'm in the brighter one, but
Same.
Like,
Hopefully.
yeah, your algorithm is like what you choose, right? And like you follow who you want to follow.
Well, kind
And
of. If
yeah, oh,
depends on the
yes,
platform you're using, because when you said that, I'm like, oh, that's super interesting, because in theory, unfollow should be, you
yeah,
walking away, but the algorithms are, eh, obviously, I'm not talking about Nostr right now, but
hmm
like the platforms, the social media platforms that most people use are sort of designed in a way to get you to spend as much money and as much attention
oh yeah.
as possible. Um, so yeah, that's interesting.
No, I agree with that because like the difference between like Instagram and Nostr, it's like Instagram's just like fucking brothel.
Yeah.
That's just like it's like if you're a guy, it's very easy to just find all the OnlyFans girls, just like it's just like it's 5 seconds on one video, and then like your whole feed is like it's all that, and it's like and that's very hard to get out of that algorithm. But then on Nostr, it's like if you wanted to seek that out, you would have to physically follow those people. Or if you want the conspiracy memes, if you want the dark Illuminati stuff, you have to follow that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, or if you're on Twitter, it's like if you just like a few posts, then you're getting more of that stuff. It's like so it's very interesting. It's like there's it's like things are being forced on you, but then you gotta like it's like a wrestle. You gotta wrestle with the algorithm,
Yeah.
which is
It's
weird.
annoying, and it's tiring, honestly, because
Yeah.
I have a brain that was designed to like pick berries and like rear a few
Mm,
children, and it's just like all of this information coming at me all of the time, and I need to use these platforms for work, and I they suck my time, they steal my time. My time is the only thing that I have that has any value. um like it's time and Bitcoin,
mhm,
and it's to be constantly fighting it is so it's tiring, and
mm.
yeah, I don't know what the solution is. I guess the solution is Nostr, and I love Nostr, but I'm skeptical
Of the
of
of what?
of mainstream adoption anytime soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm skeptical as well. Just thinking about it this week, you're just like, there's like a lot more because when I think about like normal people and Nostr people, it's like my normal people like they don't care about censorship,
Yeah,
and they're also not posting anything that could be censored.
exactly.
So I'm thinking about all the people I know who are moms. It's like these moms are not like they're not trying to be controversial. They don't want to get banned. There's no reason for them to get banned. It makes no sense for Instagram to ban these people. And then when it comes to, and then I think about like information, and like COVID is like the prime example of information being coordinated or being suppressed.
Yeah.
And when it comes, like just in my story, like I was able to get what I think are correct narratives around that era because of podcasts and an RSS feed. And so just bare bones, if someone needs information, I can send them an RSS feed and you can't censor that. You can't like that there's already been censorship resistant technology and that's the RSS feed. And when it comes to social media, it's like all you need to do is just send a link to an RSS feed. So
Mhm.
it's like I think about different ways that you can share information and a lot of people on Nostr, I guess my criticism is like they want to be censorship resistant, but like what information is so important that it is being censored on Twitter?
Right.
Because Nostr people's criticism of Bitcoin Twitter is it's just like a bad culture.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And then whenever Elon wants to ban some account, then they use that as an example, but that account wasn't even aligned with your ethos or your culture.
Right.
So it's like, who cares about this random account being banned? Like I don't care. So this is Blue, by the way. He just jumped up on my lap.
Oh, hey. My cat, I have a cat that kind of hates me, which she would never jump on my lap. I'm so jealous right now.
My cat loves me.
She loves me. Like, I know she loves me, but she doesn't show it.
Yeah, this guy's a Siamese snowshoe mix.
Oh,
If you know what that is.
he's big.
$47 at the shelter. But like when you look up the value of these cats, like $3,000.
Really?
That's what I don't know. That's what Google said. Maybe it's fake, but I don't know. But I'm sitting on 0.03 of Bitcoin right now.
I love it.
But yeah, I just think yeah, Nostr, I like it, but I don't like it. I'm only using it because I want to make more Bitcoin.
Yeah, I
'Cause that's-
think it's such a cool community. I love the community, and I love it's a more enjoyable experience. Like, I don't doom scroll on Nostr 'cause you can't.
yeah,
Um,
which is good.
yeah, but like my number one reason why I think the world would be a better place if everybody was using Nostr clients is that you could build your own algorithm, and the algorithm would be, designed to make you a better person or show you the things that you choose to see.
Mhm.
With the other apps, like, I don't know, even if you get really, really fed up with how much time you're sort of losing, like that's kind of like escaping you, you can just download a tool to block yourself after 30 minutes of scrolling or something like that.
Yeah.
So like it's not even solving that problem.
Yeah,
Right.
it barely solves a problem. The only problem I have is not getting enough Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and Nostr solves that. Because that's why I started the podcast a couple years ago as well. Because I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole during COVID and trying to figure out, the whole mission is to get Bitcoin. But then at the same time, it's like I don't have that much money to I need to pay my bills,
Yeah.
and so it's more responsible if I don't just buy Bitcoin
Yeah.
all the time. So I came to this conclusion of like, if I'm telling myself if I'm telling myself to not buy Bitcoin, then I need to earn it.
Yeah.
And then there's been innovation with podcasting and hooking up. The whole project is called Podcasting 2.0. I'm not sure if you're even like aware of this, but the whole reason so Fountain is like the prime example right now. The whole reason Fountain exists is because the inventor of podcasting wanted to continue the mission of like strengthening podcasting and innovating with RSS feeds. His name's Adam Curry, and I got into him because like I started following his other podcast revolving around like politics and news. That's called No Agenda. He's been doing that for like 17, 18 years. And when I say inventor of podcasting, this man invented it.
Okay. Cool.
And I thought that was incredible. I was like, oh, this is the inventor. And then he started this project called Podcasting 2.0, and then they were trying to find ways to send value within a censorship resistant way, and they were just choosing Bitcoin because that's just what Bitcoin is. And so I was like, if I want to earn Bitcoin, maybe this is like a way to do it. I should start a podcast, and I can, if I make a good enough podcast, if I make a valuable podcast, and people will send that value back to me. And I was like, that was like a huge light bulb for me. And I was like, okay, this is how I do it then. This is how I earn Bitcoin. And then throughout the last couple of years, it's been, not that much Bitcoin is being sent around, like
Yeah.
I think last year, I mean, it's actually a good amount of Bitcoin. I think last year, like throughout the whole, just in Fountain, I think it might have been 2 Bitcoin was sent around to like podcasters, and that's like listeners and podcasters sending it to each other.
Yeah.
I think that's right. It might be 1 or 2, but regardless, even if it's just 1 Bitcoin, that's still like a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I have like a little chunk of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just trying to figure out like, how can I continue to make more Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And then I Nostr, because I tried doing the whole, I guess I still am trying to do like the whole like social media thing, trying to get some sort of, have some following on Instagram with pertaining to like health and different topics like that. And so try to like capitalize on that system, like the sponsorships and the brand deals and things like that. But then like podcasting and Bitcoin, it's like I can earn something. I can earn a hard asset
Yeah.
if I create something that's like a hard asset.
Right.
Because that's what the best podcasts are. Podcasts, like the best, your favorite podcast is a hard asset. Like there's no, and you can't, that's just how I think of it. Because like whenever you listen to something good, it's like, this is amazing. This is the best thing in the world, regardless if it's like a true crime or whatever, you know, it's like, this is incredible. And so what if you could like, what if the person could send me what they think is valuable from that? And that's real. And that aligns with the Bitcoin ethos.
Mhm.
You get what you deserve. What's the saying? It's like you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm aligned with that. And it doesn't even matter if I'm not making that much because this is true. This is what I deserve in this moment.
Yeah.
And then that encourages me to continue to get better, try to innovate more and expand and change and things like this. So, and Nostr was just like that way of earning more
Yeah.
because I'm not really earning money. I tried earning money from Twitter and that's just like,
Yeah.
no, it's no good. Like I'm not some cute Asian girl who's like, who's reposting memes. Like I'm just not,
Right.
I'm not those people. I'm not posting clips of political stuff. I'm just not that guy.
Right.
I just want to express myself. The whole reason I podcast is to express myself. I think I'm an artist, like just like to my core. So I'm just creative to my core, and that's just what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so Nostr allows me to just post what I want to post, say what I want to say, and then if people vibe, they can zap me, they can boost me. So that's like the only benefit, just because I want to double down on Bitcoin.
It is
But I don't think
a benefit for creators. I would
Yeah.
say, like, we based one of the characters in our game off of the value for value system. So like her backstory is that she's an indie artist and she has a unique style. And if she wanted to make money off of Spotify, she would have to, compromise her style and try to get a large amount of people listening to her to make like little pennies, as opposed to this
Mhm.
where you could like be very true to your art form, and people will like give you value in exchange for that. There's no middlemen taking a cut. It's just you directly to your audience, and no need to compromise creatively. So it's definitely the better model for artists and creators, like for sure.
Yeah, value is real, dude.
Yeah.
And that the inventor of podcasting, he sort of created the narrative of value for value. That's really where the value for value model begun, is like with him and his co-host.
Sorry,
I'm not sure if you knew that.
I didn't. I didn't. The first time I heard about value for value, this was like before I was in the process of getting orange pilled. Maybe I was like, that'll never work. Like, if people can like consume it for free and like
Then they'll know.
opt to give money, they're just gonna opt to not give money. Like I was like, that doesn't make sense. But then the more I've seen it out in the wild, and the more I have like directly found myself being like, I need to zap this person. Like I need to like it's kind of, I don't know. I proved myself wrong. I've come. Yeah, I was wrong about that. Like it does work. I like the analogy of like the busker. If you like what you hear, you throw some money in the hat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's almost like both sides, both sides have like open doors. Because like the example of the person playing music on the street with a hat on the ground, that's like their door is open
Mhm.
to receive value, but it's going to be rare if someone walking by has another open door who's willing to listen and also willing to give.
Right.
But then just specifically the model and the narrative of value for value puts everyone in the mindset of having an open door and being willing to listen and being willing to share.
Yeah.
Which is almost spiritual as well.
It
It's an
is.
international lifestyle.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
It's another paradigm shift that is facilitated by Bitcoin. One of
it is a paradigm
many
shift.
new neural pathways the collective is forming.
Until we start sending XRP for value.
Yeah.
You're like, no.
I don't know about these things. I don't know anything about anything.
Me either.
Okay.
Me either. I just go with the vibe. I just go with the flow. I just buy Bitcoin.
Same. Bitcoin only, man. Bitcoin only.
Oh man, so this is cool. I don't really know what else to talk about. Did you want to talk about anything? Like maybe we should plug the game one more time, or
Yeah, I'm gonna show you my game. Our game. This is BLOCKHUNTERS.
did you plan stacking up the boxes like that? Because that's like
I did.
like high level intelligence.
Well, I didn't plan stack. That stack of books is always there. I'll be honest, but I did bring the game in.
Nice.
Room. Yes.
That's sick. Where do people buy it?
They can buy it at blockhuntersgame.com. I'm working on getting it on Amazon, but I still think the best place to buy it will be blockhuntersgame.com in terms of price. They ship from the Netherlands, and yeah, it's genuinely a really fun board game. Like, you'll like this game if you like Bitcoin, but you'll also just like it if you like board games too. It's really fun, and it works how the Bitcoin technology works. And we have like woven in all of these use cases for Bitcoin around the world. So it's like, if you have somebody who's curious about Bitcoin, who is wanting to understand it anymore, this is the perfect tool to orange pill people. Yeah, it's
I love that.
It's a lot of fun.
I love that. What's like? Is there a minimum age requirement? Do you think? Like, does it take someone who's like over 10, or what's that?
So we've written on the box 14 plus. That was a little bit to do with the customs and if it's a toy or not.
Right.
Had kids as young as 7 play the game with some modifications. I would say any kid at 10 and up is totally doable. You can even, like, again, with a couple modifications, play with younger kids. We've had really young kids playing it. It's not that hard to understand, and it runs about 30 minutes. So it's a fast-paced game, and the more you play it, the more insights you get about, like, it's funny, like watching. We were telling my sister about how Bitcoin works, and there's like the process of the game of like filling the mempool with transactions. We all have to like announce, like to kind of like verify, and like I think she was like checking something, and she's like, "Oh, I'm noding right now." We're like, "You're what?" She's like, "I'm noding, right? Like, this is the node." And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, it's so cool to see those little connections get made.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a noter.
I'm noting. I'm a noter. I was like, "Yeah, you
That's really fun.
are."
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like
Really cool.
a lot of people call the mempool the memory pool because there's like a memory component in the game. So like, yeah, it's just so fun to watch no coiners sort of like have these, like, pre-coiners, I should say, have these connections get made. It's very fun. It brings me a lot of joy.
Is that what mempool means? Memory?
I
Or no?
I have no idea. I don't. but yeah, in our game you have to memorize the
You memorize the mempool.
kind of, yeah. You're trying to keep track of. You're trying to figure out what private key other people at the other players have. The private keys are characters. So you're kind of trying to remember. Okay, she put that there, and I think that was that. So like there's a memory component, and there's a lot of bluffing, and you trying to be private. Also collect the most Bitcoin, and also work together to build the blockchain.
That's really cool. Yeah, my nephew is 6, so I was just curious, like, if like I can orange pill my 6-year-old nephew.
It can be done. Maybe a couple more years, probably prime for him, but could be.
Yeah, after he's done with Minecraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah, Emily, awesome. Did you want to talk about anything else? Like, I'm at a loss for words right now. Just want to. It's been a great vibe. It's been a great talk so far.
Yeah, this was an awesome conversation. I don't really have anything much else to say. this
Should people follow you somewhere? Should people follow you personally or just
sure.
Block Hunters?
Yeah, you can. I'm on Nostr. Block Hunters is on Nostr. Block Hunters Game _ on X. Block Hunters Game on Instagram. Yeah, I'm like,
Cool.
I'm trying to remember what we are on Primal. You'll find on Nostr. Sorry, you'll find us. Block Hunters Game,
Yeah.
and I'm Emily.
Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Oh, that's right. You're just Emily on Nostr. I think that's so.
I don't know how to verbally share who I am. I can't NPUB.
Yeah, you memorize another thing to memorize.
Right.
That's funny. No, I'll link your Nostr. I'll link the Block Hunter thing. Are you on Instagram a lot, or do you not care about the centralized stuff?
I'm personally on Instagram a little bit. That's where most of my friends are. So,
Right. You're not like promoting it. Like, it's not like, hey, follow me.
Not really. If you want to follow me on Instagram, do so. I'll share all the Block Hunter stuff. It's Emily Eliza Hughes.
Right on.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Dope.
That's a lie. It's Emily Elizabeth Hughes, but the H in Elizabeth is the same as the H from Hughes. No one cares anyway. It's fine.
Elizabeth? What? H in Elizabeth?
Yeah, the last letter of Elizabeth is H, and the first letter.
Oh, my bad. I'm stupid. I'm an American, so I don't even know how to spell.
I don't even know what my own Instagram handle is, so
That's cool.
worry about it.
All right. Well, Emily, thank you so much for being on America Plus.
Thank you so much.
I'll probably talk to you later.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.